Utinni!
What is up, everybody? Happy Thursday evening. This is Justin with Utinni Designs coming at you live. We're going to do some 3D print assembly tonight. We're going to do some laser engraving and talk about some new products that we have here at Utinni Designs. One of those products is for Star Wars collectors, or any collector for that matter. These can be designed and put in different shapes, as well as provide different text. So if you're a collector out there, we 3D print these display plaques. They can obviously be customized in any way, shape, or form, including the shape, the text, the logo, the description text. All that can be completely custom designed. And then they do come with a little stand, so they will stand upright in your display. So be sure to check out utinnidesigns.com in order to get those, and I will put that link up right here. So the next thing we have tonight is we do have a Patreon. So if you would like to support the channel or support me, go to patreon.com/Utinni Designs, and you can sign up there, and you'll get access to files, as well as discount codes and everything on the merchandise. So be sure to check that out. The other thing we have is our merch and swag. So we do have a new merch and swag product. This is the Boba shirt. It has the Mythosaur logo on the front that is on his pauldron. And then on the back, it has Boba himself. So that's pretty cool. And I'll just scroll down here through some pictures so you can kind of see it. So you can pick that up on the Utinni Designs website, on the swag and merch website, and it is $25. You can also pick up our other swag as well if you like. So now that we've got that little tidbit out of the way, let's go back here. We are 3D printing a ghost, and it is almost done. It's got a couple seconds left. So as soon as that's done, we'll pull that off the plate. But before we get to that, we are going to go to our other camera here. And this is what we're going to be putting together. So this is a Japanese Ido lamp. And I've already built one, and it turned out really well. So this is a file that I found, I believe, on Maker World. And it was originally designed for a regular lamp. So it has a little hole for the cord to go in and whatnot. And I modified the base of it to work with a light that I got from Amazon. These come in a 2-pack, and they are wireless LED lights, so it would just sit right in there. And then it has a remote where you can turn it on and off. And they come in a 2-pack. So to put this thing together, it's pretty simple. We are going to take, there's 2 of these pieces and then 2 wider pieces. So we're going to take these, and we're just going to slide them down in like so. And we're going to take this other piece here and slide it down in. And then we're going to take these larger pieces here and slide those down in. They can only go one way, so you can't really screw it up. The only way you can mess it up is if you put these railings on the bottom. This is supposed to be on the top. So that's really the only thing that you can kind of mess up there. And we'll get these in here. Make sure everything is lined up, which this one needs to come out. Go on the other side. So like so. And then we have the final piece for the sides. And it goes in just like that. Now we'll put our little light down in here. Then we have a diffuser. And then we put on the top. And we will just line this up with the holes. And we'll get this in here. I can actually have it this way. There's only one way that it can go. So you just have to get the holes lined up. And you don't have to press very hard for this top part because it will line up basically by itself once you get one set started. So just like this. And we'll make sure we got it all lined up. Just like that. There's your little lamp. So, since we have that flame lamp in there, all we have to do is turn it on. And now you have a Japanese style Ido lamp ready to go. So some details on this lamp that I have for you is it is by Gary Sinkowitz. It is on Maker World. It takes 14 hours to print one lamp. It takes 662 grams of filament, which is roughly $16.50 to print one lamp. So you're looking at about $32 to print two lamps. And then the flame light from Amazon that I have going in here is a wireless lamp, and they are $16.50 each or $32.99 for two. So you're looking at about $33 per lamp cost in order to do these. So it's actually not too bad when you look at it from the standpoint of this is something I'm going to have on my bedside or in the house. And I would suggest selling these if you were going to sell them between $40 and $50 is probably what you're looking at. But be sure to give Gary Sinkowitz a shout out on Maker World. I'm not sure if he released the commercial license for these, so please email him and get his permission to sell these before you start selling them. Support your 3D modelers out there. They spend a lot of time on designing these and getting these to work right. So please do that if you can. So the next thing we got, we're going to shut this light off here and move this over here out of the way. The next thing we have is a laser slate, and I lasered this earlier this week. This took about 4 hours to laser, just this and the dog paw. And this is a 3D embossed relief angel wing. So it would make a great memorial piece, and it is just made out of a slate heart piece that I got from Amazon. And then I left room up here so I could not only customize and personalize it, but put the dog's name, the owner's name, maybe a little poem, and then possibly another dog paw, or maybe even a photo of the animal that passed away. So this will make a great memorial piece. And these can be customized for people, for animals, loved ones, whatever. And they make a great display piece in remembrance of them. So memorial stones are a great way to do that. and we do provide those at Utinni Designs via laser. So just let us know if you're interested in something like that. The next thing we have is we did 3D print some Christmas ornaments because Christmas is coming. So here is a 3D printed ornament. And this is a very simplistic design. And it just says the Jacobs family there. And it's a white barn ornament. Then we made a red barn ornament. Same design, just changed the colors up a little bit and did that as well. So these make great gifts. They can be completely customized as far as color, as far as the text. So if you need anything like that, please reach out and let us know. So the next thing on our list is, it looks like our print is done. So we're going to switch the camera yet again and go get this other print. And while we're doing that, you're going to look at the laser for a second. Let me go grab that print. And switch my audio, so hopefully you can still hear me. And we will grab this print off of the 3D printer. So what we have here is we're going to move this camera over to this camera. And this is what we just took off the printer. This is a little ghost, and he's flipping you off. And what you do is, this is designed for a tea light. So you take your normal tea light, LED tea light, you put him in there, and he glows. I know it's probably hard to see that on camera, but the whole thing glows. And again, this is what the little ghost looks like. So pretty cool little print for Halloween. Let me hide these so this focuses. So there we go. Then you just put him right over the tea light and you're good to go. So we have that print that lights up. And then we have the Japanese Ido lamp that we just put together, and that lights up as well. So pretty neat little 3D prints. So we will move those out of the way, and we will continue on to our laser stuff. So let me move this camera back over, and we are going to share a screen. So here's what we're looking at. Let me switch this camera back to our virtual camera to show our laser. Excuse me. So it's almost Christmas time, as we all know. Some of us dread it, some of us love it, but it's coming whether we like it or not. So I wanted to make a little board. I know in some families they have a tradition to put out milk and cookies for Santa and carrots for the reindeer. And sometimes it's done on a normal dinner plate. Sometimes it's done on a special crystal plate that says Santa on it. So I thought, well, let's do it on a small cutting board and see what we can come up with. So we have this design here, and it says Dear Santa, thank you for stopping at our house. Um, to show our appreciation, here are some yummy treats for you and the reindeer, and some milk and cookies and carrots. So we are going to laser this on the XTool F1. This is an Arcania cutting board. So we're just going to use the blue light laser in order to engrave this on the cutting board. And our settings for this are 90% power, 850 speed, one pass at 240 lines per centimeter. And this is the F1 Ultra, and we are using the blue light laser for this. So I'm going to go ahead and go to process. And I'm just checking to make sure everything looks good that we want to engrave, which it does. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to frame this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enlarge the camera view here. Pardon me. So I'm going to enlarge the camera view. We're going to frame it, make sure it's lined up correctly, and then we'll actually burn it. So in the XTool software, I'm just going to go over to framing. We're going to go to outline and hit the framing button. Raise this up so you can see it. And you can see kind of where this is going to outline and be at. So I'm just looking to make sure everything looks like it's going to be okay. I'm going to go ahead and switch this to a different frame. And what this is just going to do is just give me a rough outline of the area. And we're just going to make sure that we have basically the same amount of width on the edges, as well as we're going to bump this just a little bit to this area here. And we want to make sure we're even as possible. So just tap it just a little bit. And I think we're going to be good there. So I'm going to go ahead and lower that. We're going to turn on our fan. We're going to go to process, start, and we're going to process this cutting board. So again, just in case you want to know what the settings are, the settings for this is the blue light laser, 90% power, 850 speed, one pass, 240 lines per centimeter. That should give us a pretty nice engraving on this cutting board. So should be a pretty good result at the end here. And then of course, with any cutting board, once you laser it, you do want to put cutting board oil on it, at least one or two layers. Put one layer on, let the wood soak it in, put another layer on, and then that will make it food safe. So always be sure to do that. While that's lasering, I'm going to get our next project going. Hey Rex, hope you're doing well, my friend. We are lasering a cutting board for Santa because Christmas is coming. So this is something that you would put out with your children for Santa. You'll have a spot for reindeer snacks, a spot for milk, a spot for cookies, um, a spot for carrots for the reindeer. So just a nice little cutting board that you can put out and put those items on and or display in your house. The next cutting board we're going to be doing is a smaller cheese board, a round cheese board, and we're going to be doing something that's a similar design to this, but not quite the same. So as soon as this gets done lasering, we will move on to that project. We are going to change the settings just slightly on that project, but not by a whole lot, because it is bamboo versus the Arcania wood, which is what this cutting board is that is currently lasering right now. Bamboo burns a little differently, so we have to change the settings when we change different wood types. But as you can see, this is getting a nice engrave. It's not too dark, it's not too light. So I think this will turn out pretty well. And then once we put some cutting board oil on it to make it food safe, it will darken it up just slightly. Excuse me, got a heck of a cough in my throat today. We showed off some 3D prints. We put together a Japanese Ido lamp, and we went through the details on that in the beginning. So if you want to go back and rewatch, you can definitely do that. We also watched a 3D Ghost finish printing that you can put a tea light in. And then we also showed off some Christmas ornaments that are in the shape of barns that I designed and printed earlier today. And then we also showed off a slate memorial stone in the shape of a heart with an angel wing and a dog print that can be customized for your lost pets, and can also even be customized for any lost family members or friends. Obviously, you would change the design slightly, but they can also be used for that too. So it's a really versatile uh, way to memorialize not only your lost pets, but your lost family members, friends, so on and so forth. So it looks like this is getting down to the bottom here. We're just going to let that continue. Again, this is using the XTool F1 Ultra. And blue light laser, or diode as some people call it. So we're almost done with this design, and then we will move on to the next one. And then, keeping with the theme of getting ready for Christmas, I have a couple of pre-painted ornaments made out of thin basswood that we will be engraving some designs on that I designed today. So getting in the spirit already. I know that Halloween hasn't even come yet, but as you saw, we did print a Halloween ghost, and I also have a lot of Halloween stuff printed to go as well. So this is almost there towards the end. Rex, you been working on anything cool lately? If you're still in the live stream. So as you can see, we're almost done, and then we will get the other item ready and set up to engrave, and I will go over those settings as well, since it is bamboo instead of Arcania. Um, this is Arcania wood here that we're engraving now with the blue light laser, and I will go over the settings for the bamboo before we get that going. So one more time, if you are interested in what these settings were for this, it is using the blue light diode laser, 90% power, 850 speed, 240 lines per centimeter. And it looks like it is done. So we will go grab that off and set up our next engrave. I would say that turned out pretty good. Not too deep, not too light. I would say that's about a perfect setting for that. So this next one, we're going to get lined up here. And we're going to go into our design that I will show you just shortly. But first, we're going to measure. We're going to have the laser auto measure. So we need to close this shield so it gets the best possible measurement. All right, let's get this. I think we're as low as we can go. So I need to raise that up. And let's do this measurement one more time, just to double check. That way we get the laser focused. And it looks like there's something shiny on this that it doesn't like. So I think it's because we're hitting that little part of the wood there. So I'm going to raise this up slightly. And we're going to try this focus again. Sometimes on different materials, the focus is hard to get. So we will try this again. And worst case scenario, we will manually focus. Yeah, it is not liking that. So we're going to cancel. We're going to put the laser off for a second. Flip it back on. Let it kind of recalibrate itself. Make sure we are connected to it. There we go. Now let's try to refocus. Ah, that time it focused. So now we're going to take our design, and while this is doing that, I'm going to show it to you on the screen live so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So we are going to show this. So this way you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So we have our item in the laser. We have it auto-focused to the material. And now we're going to go in here and we're going to adjust some things. We're going to adjust the size of this because obviously it's too big. So we're going to shrink this down. We're going to align it to center so we know. And then we're going to drag this up on the center. And that way we can size it as needed. So now we can make this bigger. Align the center. Back up. And that looks good on the screen. Now, just because it looks good on the screen doesn't mean it's good. So we want to check this by going to our framing, and we're going to outline, bump the power up, and check this on the actual item. And I'm just looking for some evenness on both sides while this is going. I know sometimes it may be hard to see. And so we're going to stop framing. We're going to put rectangle mode on and frame it again just to give us an idea. And I think that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that, I think. Maybe if anything, we need to move it over just slightly this way. All right. So we're going to stop the framing process. We're going to go to process. Now for this, since it is bamboo, we are going to use the blue light diode laser at 50% power, 500 speed, and 220 lines per centimeter. So the laser says it's ready. Let me get my camera switched here for you so you can watch it. And I will go start the laser. Again, because this is bamboo, I'm using a little bit less power than we did on the Arcania wood. But I am going at a slower speed. So it's kind of a happy medium for the bamboo. This is going to take about 6 minutes to process that. So that gives me some time to line up my next item. So while that is doing that, we will get this next item in here. Again, this is bamboo, and we're using the blue diode on the engrave setting at 50% power, 500 speed, and 220 lines per centimeter. This is a vector graphic, so it will come out with a pretty clean engraving. I try to use vector graphics wherever I can, and I design those in Illustrator or Affinity Designer. You can also use free vector programs like Giphy, I'm sorry, not Giphy, Inkscape, um, and I believe there's another one out there too, but I don't recall the name of it. I use Adobe Illustrator and Affinity Designer, as those are the pro slash semi-pro programs for vector graphic design. Good evening, Gap. Glad to have you here, buddy. We're doing some laser engraving on some bamboo. And next, we're going to laser engrave on pre-painted basswood. So I've already got an ornament shape in a 3mm basswood, and I've already painted it with acrylic paint. So that way all we have to do is line it up and laser. Please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Once we reach 200 subscribers, we will have a giveaway. So please like and share and subscribe. We're going to make sure everything's running right here. We're going to make sure everything's running right. So far, it seems to be going good. And this engrave is nearly done. And then once this one is complete on this bamboo cheese board, we will move on to basswood 3mm ornaments that I've pre-painted with acrylic paint. And that way all we have to do is line up the design that I've come up with and engrave. And again, for most woods, you're going to use the blue light laser, the diode. It's not something that the fiber will really do on wood. So definitely want to use the blue light laser for that. And since this is almost done, we'll go over the settings one more time. It is set to engrave. It is a vector graphic. And we are, let me find my mouse here. We are sitting at 50% power, 500 speed, one pass at 220 lines per centimeter. All right. That one is done. And you know what? I think we can go just slightly darker. I think I'm going to run that one more time and just get it slightly darker. So we're going over it with a second pass. And what this second pass will do is hit it with the same power, but it is going to make it just slightly darker. That was just a little bit too light for my taste. So I will make an adjustment to my settings to make sure that we run 2 passes. And I will save that for bamboo round cheese board. So I have those settings saved. So right now I'm just copying these settings. And then we will move on to the new design once this is complete. I think this looks just a little bit better, a little bit darker in areas, which is what I was going for. It's still light in some areas, but that's due to the wood. That has nothing to do with the laser or the graphic. That's just the way the wood burns. And I'm afraid if I do a third pass, it will be too dark in areas and actually burn deeper than I want it to go. So we'll let this run for a second. And while this is running, I will bring up the next design that we're working on. This is going to go on a basswood ornament. And it says, "There is no place like home." And this is the zip code for Kannapolis, North Carolina, where I reside for the holidays. So the settings for this is going to be, again, the blue light diode, 40% power, 800 speed, one pass at 220 lines per centimeter. And all we're going to do is once this other one is done, we will get the pre-painted basswood ornament lined up, frame it, and laser it. And we have a couple different designs that we're going to put on some different ornaments, so that way we can get those tested. And it's looking like it's nearing its finish point here. So we will go back into the other room and grab this. I think that turned out a lot better. Sometimes it's worth going with a second pass. Even if it's just a subtle difference, it's a decent difference. All right. And we are complete. There's our little cheese board, bamboo cheese board for Santa. Has a nice engrave on it. So for the next project, we are going to laser engrave these 3mm basswood ornaments. So I'm just going to get this lined up here. And we're going to refocus. refresh the camera view, and that way we can see kind of where we're at. So I'm going to make this larger. Gonna have to go in just a little bit, I think. Let's align the center, and then let's drag down. And then let's frame this. I think we're going to want to come down just a little bit more. Maybe over just a hair. That looks pretty close. Maybe just a hair. All right, now that we got that all lined up, we're going to stop framing. And for this, we're using the blue light laser, 40% power, 800 speed, one pass, 220 lines per centimeter. And let me get the camera set up so you can see this happen in real time. And here we go. Now we're probably going to have to do a second pass on this. Just because it does look like it's leaving some residue or area behind. Again, this is 3mm basswood that has been painted with acrylic paint. and we are just burning off the acrylic paint to show the wood through on the backside. And I do think we're going to have to do a second pass on that. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to bump up the lines per centimeter to 300. We're going to bump the power up to 50, and we're going to go this a little bit faster at 1500 on speed. Process, start, and this should take that paint completely off without burning the wood too much. Should definitely clean up the letters if nothing else. And we may even go one more pass after this, depending on how this does. So while this is processing, I'm going to write down our changes. And we are doing blue light laser, 50% power, 1500 speed, 1 to 2 passes at 300 lines per centimeter. And I think I might be able to even do one more pass. I cleaned it up pretty well, but I think we can do just a tad bit better by just running that one more time. So let's hit it one more time. Just to clean it up, just ever so slightly more. Hey, Ken. Glad to see you there, buddy. Just doing some lasering on some basswood pre-painted ornaments that I have. I painted these ornaments with acrylic paint, and then I am lasering a design that I did into them, and we are on our third pass for this one. I don't think we're going to go anymore. I think this third pass got what we wanted. And we will just kind of leave it at that. Then we're going to do a red ornament next. Same concept, but different design. So these are 3mm basswood. So it is a pretty thin ornament. But basically what we're doing is we're just basically removing the acrylic paint from the surface and not really burning the surface of the wood, maybe just slightly, but not a whole lot. So it gives that kind of shimmery kind of look, which is interesting since it's wood. You know, we're not burning the wood, we're just removing the paint from the wood. So that gives us this kind of effect. And I will show you better in the other camera how that looks. It's a pretty neat little effect. So let me grab my next ornament here. Now, I'm going to adjust how I do this time, I think. And we're going to put a little weight down here. And let me get this one lined up. So we're going to show this one, output, and we found that 50% power at 1500 speed, 2 passes, and 300 lines per centimeter works pretty good. So I'm going to stick with that, and we are going to bump this up to 83.13 millimeters and 68.42 was the center point. So now it should be basically centered. We're going to refresh the camera, and we're going to frame it. And hopefully you can see that frame line there in the camera. We're just going to move it where we want it with slight movements. Maybe up just a tip. That looks pretty good. I think we're going to go just tiny bit And just like that. So we're going to stop framing. We're going to go to process. We're going to click start. And we're going to make sure that our camera is set up, which it is. And we're going to get this puppy going. So for those just joining us, we are using the XTool F1 Ultra with the blue light laser on 3mm basswood. And this particular design is going at 50% power, 1500 speed, 2 passes, and 300 lines per centimeter. And I will show the designs once they're complete. So this one is almost done. And it's going to go on to its second pass. Now, since I set it up for 2 passes, it will automatically go to the second pass once it's completed the first pass. So I won't have to hit the button again or anything like that. It'll automatically go to it. Now, believe it or not, these little basswood ornaments I got at Hoblob, and they were pretty cheap. I want to say you got like 10 or 12 of these little basswood ornaments in there for like $4 or $5, maybe. And then I just painted them with acrylic paint that I also got from Hoblob, and now we're just lasering them. So a very easy little project to do. Great for Christmas time, and great for doing small little projects that you might be able to make some profit on if you decide to sell them, or they're just great home projects. So as you can see, this on the second pass, even though the laser is going at the same power and the same speed and the same lines per centimeter, it's cleaning up residue paint that it left behind on the first pass. It's also going a tiny bit deeper into the wood, but not as deep as you would think. We're just removing microns at this point, because we don't want to burn the wood. We want to keep the wood, color behind it, but we don't want to burn it to the point to where it turns black. So we're literally just vaporizing the acrylic paint that is on the ornament. Now, I know some people have said that you can layer this type of stuff. So, for instance, you could paint white first, do maybe 2 coats of white, then you go back over it with 2 coats of red, then you use the laser to vaporize the red where you want your graphic, and the white will shine through. I've not tried that yet, but the way that I have this set up, I believe it would work really well. You just don't want to go so deep that you vaporize that white layer either. So that's another project I'll have to try. And here we go. I will show you a better view of this in the other room, but that gives you an idea of how thin that wood is and what the laser has done. So I'm going to go ahead and shut my fan off, and we're going to kill the laser, and we'll go ahead and kill this camera. So let me bring all this in to you guys to show you. Bear with me for a second. We will get this going on the other camera. All right. So, as you've seen, we've done several different designs tonight. So we'll do a little recap here. So our first laser design was this Arcania wood cutting board. So a pretty neat little design using the blue light laser on the XTool F1 Ultra. All you have to do now to make that food safe is to coat it with 2 layers of cutting board oil, and you are good to go. Our next project that we did was this bamboo cheese board with a similar design. Now we did have to adjust the settings a little bit in order to do the bamboo, because you don't want to burn the bamboo as much as normal wood or hardwood. Thank you, Gap. And if you all remember my first live, I didn't make it correctly to where you could hang it. This time I did. I remembered that. So learning from my mistakes. And then we went on to the 3mm basswood ornament that I had pre-painted with acrylic paint. You can see that turned out really nice. And then we have the final red. That also turned out really nice. It almost gives a shimmer look to it with the way it's showing the wood through. And like I said, on this, I think on the next one, what I'm going to try is I'm going to paint it white first, do 2 layers of acrylic white, and then do 2 layers of acrylic red over the top of the white, and then use the laser to vaporize the red, and it should show white through. So that'll be the next project that I try to do and test and see how it works. Not sure if it'll work, but it would make sense, because basically all we're doing with the blue light laser is we're vaporizing the red acrylic paint off and showing the wood underneath. So, and you can see on this is how the wood looks underneath. So you're basically getting it pretty darn close. So it's turning out pretty good. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it. It's a learning process, but we're doing it. Here is a slate heart that I laser embossed the wing into, and it is 3D-ish. I don't know if the camera picks that up very well. And then I also laser embossed the paw print, which is also 3D-ish. You know, it is engraved down in there. So when you rub your finger over it, it definitely has uh, some depth. So obviously this is for a pet, so you could customize text, you could put a photo, um, you know, you could do several different things in this area. And then of course you could take away the paw and not do the paw on the next one, and it could be for a family member or a friend, something like that. It is slate, so it is fairly fragile, but this would make a great keepsake for anybody who's lost a pet or lost a loved one. Great little thing that you can do with the XTool F1 Ultra and slate. And this used the fiber laser in order to do it. Now to do the detail and the 3D embossing on the angel wing, it did take roughly 4 hours, and it did produce a lot of dust. But I think the result is well worth it. So we also printed our little barn ornaments. See if I can get my camera to focus here. There we go. So these were just simple little barn ornaments that I wanted to test out. I did it in 2 different colors. This was done on the Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon, but it can be done on any multicolor printer or any non-multicolor printer for that matter. If you put a pause into the G code to tell the printer to pause, you just swap out the filament color for the different layers you want. We also did this little ghost here that's flipping you off. Hey, look at that. And when you put a tea light in the bottom of him, he glows. So pretty cool little deal. And finally, we built this at the very first of the show, and this is a Japanese Ido lamp. And inside I have what's called a flame LED candle light. So when I turn it on, it'll flicker like it has a flame in it, just like the Japanese lanterns of old. This particular one, I did go over the expense of it because it was not a cheap print. So let me grab that info. So this lamp was designed by Gary Sinowski. Excuse me. You can find the file on makerworld.com. It took 14 hours to print one lamp. It used 662 grams of filament, which will cost you roughly $16.50 for the print. The flame light is from Amazon, and it is $16.50 each, or you can get 2 for $32.99. So that brings the cost per lamp to $33 per lamp. So if you got permission from Gary Sinowski to sell these, or if he offered a commercial license for them, potentially you could roughly make $40 to $50, maybe more, depending on your location. But keep in mind it's going to cost you $33 to make one lamp, or to make 2 lamps. So keep that in mind. I'm sorry, it's going to cost you $33 to make 1 lamp. So each lamp you're going to have to sell for $40 to $50 a piece. So $100 for a pair. So it's not something cheap like most 3D prints that you can just print out and do. And that's mainly due to the lamp that you're going to have plus the print. So just something to keep in mind when you're marketing these and trying to print things. If they do take a long time, it did take 14 hours to print 1 lamp. So you're looking at 28 hours to print 2 lamps. And then, as you saw, it only took 4 minutes to put together and then put the light in. But the result is pretty cool. So just to show you the lamp that's inside here, we'll take this off. This diffuser then slides out, and it is a full diffuser. It's just hollow in the bottom. And here is the flame LED light. So I will flip that back on, and you can see kind of what it does. It just flickers like a flame. And then I modified this. This was originally designed to work with a normal light socket, and I modified the base down here to fit this lamp. So it just slides down in. And then you put your top back on. And this is always the fun part, is to get it to line up. But it's not hard once you got it. And it's not lined up on this side. There we go. So there you go. Pretty quick and easy stuff. Hope you all enjoyed that. I will be doing some more designs and that sort of thing later on. And we'll also be doing some vector designs, showing you how I kind of set up my vectors, and also showing how to actually design and then bring in the Bamboo Labs and print layered ornaments like this. So basically, you have your back plate. Then what I did is I brought in some, I call them just squares, and extruded them. And then I brought in this outline with the doors, all one piece, extruded it up, and then I brought in the text and extruded it up. So then you just layer it together in Bamboo Studio. You assign your colors in your AMS, or you set it up to pause so you can swap filament colors, and then you're able to print. And I can show you that entire process in the next live or the next video I do. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. These are very simple to make. They don't take very long to print, and they're great little sellers if you're trying to make a little money off of your 3D printing. And you can do it with any vector graphic. So very simple shapes, colors, logos, that sort of thing. You can do all that. And then not only does this double as an ornament, but depending on the text size, you can make it smaller, and then you can make keychains out of it. So that's another option that you have to do. You can also just do the name and do a back plate behind the name and put a key ring on it, and you have a little key ring, little keychain. So some very cool stuff that you can do with just simple graphics and just a little bit of time and know-how. And I can show you all that and how all that works and my process for doing that. So that's all I have for this evening. Um, if you want to, okay, Ken, you want to know how to do multicolor. Okay. So you have the A1, I believe. So let me bring up my other screen here. And I will give you a quick little demo. Now, obviously, this will just be real quick, but I will go into more depth on it in another project here. So I'm going to bring in, let's see if this will load up. Okay. So just for the sake of argument, I'm going to show you how this kind of works. So basically, let me zoom in here. What I did in Illustrator, and I can show you how this kind of works just by hiding some things here. So you have your back plate. That's what this blue part is back here. Okay. I have a cutout disc, which is a negative part, but I'll show you a better way of doing that. And then you have another disc, and that's what makes the piece. Now the W is just a painted extrusion, is all that is. That's what this means up here, because these are your objects, okay? And then right here, you see the little paint bucket. That means that something has been manually painted, which is when I did this one, I was doing it old school. So I was basically bringing this entire piece in, and it was coming in as one color. Let's see if it'll show this. I gotta erase the painting. Okay, so when I brought in my STL, it was coming in as one color. Okay, so then there's several different ways you can color. Depending on how your object is split up, you can come over here and you can select the color from your AMS. So when I do that, it's going to make it all blue. Okay, with the exception of this generic disc up here. So we'll just make that blue as well, because blue is what I have in number 6 slot in my AMS. Now to make these yellow, since it is not a separated object, I go up here to the paint bucket. I select my yellow, I select my paint bucket, and then I can raise or lower the smart fill angle. So as you see, when I hover over this, it's just showing the top part. Now it's showing that part. Now it's showing that part. So I can click and drag with my color selected and color those in. That's the quick and easy way. But as you'll notice, it didn't color in the entire object. So you have to rotate around and color those parts in and make sure you got them all, which isn't a hard thing to do, but it is time consuming, especially if it's a more complex model. So this is just a very quick kind of show. So let's say I wanted the blue to be red. So now when I switch the blue to red, see what happens? The yellow stays because that is considered a painted area. Now I can erase all that and start over, or I can switch colors if I wanted. So let's say I wanted the yellow green now. So now I'd come in and I'd repaint it green. And I'm just clicking on each face where there's yellow. So now we have green and red. So, and then you can go to this little keyboard right here, and it will give you a drop-down menu, and it will show you the keyboard shortcuts to paint, erase, change your smart fill angle, zoom in, zoom out, that sort of thing. So if I wanted to erase, it's going to erase the color, and it's going to use the main object color. So if I change this object color to brown, see, everything I erased is brown, but everything I painted is still green. So if I erase this by holding down Shift and clicking, that erases it. Now if I want to bring that back, I just go to my color I want. So I want yellow. Click and drag over these edges. And this is the simple way. There's several other ways to paint, but if your objects are designed very simply like this is, which is just literally extrusions on the z-axis in 3D modeling terms, then it's very simple to change. So then we're going to change this back to blue, and now we have the flying WV back. So there's other options. You can paint with a sphere, and let's just grab red. So this is just going to, it's kind of like Microsoft Paint. So if you're going to do it this way, it's good to have a screen tablet. You also have the sphere, which is going to take the shape of the corners. So see how this is kind of moving just a little bit? So watch. So now I'm doing it on this face, and then it's bleeding over to the other face. See how that kind of works? But if I do it with just the paint brush, it still bleeds over, but it's not as precise. So if I wanted this to be fairly precise and just follow this edge, see how precise I can do that with just the mouse? You can also do what's called layers. So I'm clicking on the layer right here, which is the height range. So let's say I wanted part of this. Let me just erase all the painting. Let me say I wanted part of this to be red and part of it to be yellow. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to click red, drop it, and then I want this to be yellow. Now, because that's a height range, anything on the same height is going to be that color. Okay. The next thing is triangles. So these are the actual polys that make up the 3D model. So you can paint just different polys. Now, luckily, this model is pretty simple, so the polys are literally just what makes up the faces. So that kind of gives you some quick ideas on how you can paint models that way for your AMS. And all your colors will be listed here. The colors are also, since you have an AMS light, you only have 4 colors. So your numbers will be 1 through 4. So let's say, just for instance, I wanted to quickly change colors of a single object. So currently it is blue, which is number 6 in my AMS. If I wanted this black, I would hit number 1 because number 1 corresponds to my AMS color, which is black. If I wanted it yellow, number 4. If I wanted it red, number 5, because that what color code responds to my AMS colors. So that is how to quickly do the entire model a solid color. So hopefully that helps. I can get more into depth if you have more specific questions, but hopefully that helps you out a little bit and kind of get you up and running on that. So good. Glad I helped you out a little bit. But I think I'm going to shut it down for the night, guys. It is 10 o'clock Eastern Standard. So we've done quite a bit. We've done 4 laser projects, built some 3D prints, and shown off some others. So hopefully you all have a good night. I appreciate all the support. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And be sure to check out our new merch and swag on the Utinni Designs swag store. Follow us on Instagram. There's the link for the swag, our Patreon, and the website. So thank you all again very much for tuning in, and I hope you have a good night.
Utinni!